India's other neighbor. A storm that is brewing in Dhaka. Is Bangladesh once again veering towards political chaos? As speculations are rife, whispers seems to have become louder. And all eyes are on one man who is Bangladesh's interim leader, Professor Muhammad Yunus. He's been brought in as a neutral caretaker to claim the storm after Sheikh Hasina's dramatic exit back in August 2024. But now reports suggest that Muhammad Yunus is now considering throwing in the towel. Why? Because he seems that he is frustrated. Sources say that Muhammad Yunus is now finding it increasingly difficult to work because political parties in Bangladesh are unable to reach to a common ground on many issues. But what does it mean for Bangladesh? And more importantly, what does it mean for the region in particular? Let's put that out and then be in focus exactly what could be next for Bangladesh in particular. What could be the next step possibly that Muhammad Yunus could take as far as when it comes to the temporary chief there who has been running the government ever since the country was hit with a lot of chaos, unrest and political violence as well. What could be his possible next step? Will he now put down his papers? Will he resign? Or will he be arrested? As far as when it comes to the military tangle is also something that has been affecting Bangladesh ever since we have seen when it comes to the political unrest that had happened that also claimed the lives of many people. Now, will he also sound early elections, or there will be a completely Sheikh Hasina story that would be repeated with Muhammad Yunus? Will he be forced to leave the country? Is an ouster now imminent? Let's also talk about what's happening as far as the rumor mill in Bangladesh is concerned, because that seems to be in an overdrive. Multiple speculations that are doing the rounds. We're just reporting on the speculations as we believe that there can be no smoke without fire. Let's break down what are the unanswered questions that haunt Dhaka today exactly when it comes to why Muhammad Yunus is frustrated. Why isn't he able to do anything as he is now claiming that he doesn't have much power? Why is Yunus now threatening to step down? Why is he threatening resignation? Now, Bangladesh's army chief, has he set an ultimatum for Muhammad Yunus to comply exactly what the military wants, or what does the political party wants? Because that is being said that there is no common ground or consensus that could be built, and that is probably Muhammad Yunus is now left having no option but be frustrated. Who is not letting Muhammad Yunus to function properly, and exactly what does the turmoil in Dhaka mean for India? Of course, when it comes to neighbor, what happens in Dhaka also has, as far as when it comes to its certain ramifications or influence that may happen when it comes to the political scenes. Now, sources are telling Times Now that there are at least 5 key reasons behind Muhammad Yunus' reported "I quit" threat. Now, there are multiple reasons there. First reason is cited to be that Bangladesh's political parties apparently are not on the same page. There are different opinions, as we have seen. As he temporarily took over, there has been several of those politics and protests that have been hitting the streets as far as multiple organizations as well who do not agree with their party line. Political parties are not giving him full support, and there is also a very big role that Bangladesh army here plays. What is being said that when it comes to another round of elections, would that be an ultimatum that has been given by the army here remains to be seen. Also, has he been forced to make a U-turn on the Rakhine corridor? The Zaman Hantu Yunus has been saying that when it comes to military matters, we do not want any interference. So as far as when it comes to a military coup or a takeover, when it comes to the political understanding and the government, is that a possibility now in Dhaka, in Bangladesh? Let's talk you exactly what are these flashpoints. What exactly is this Rakhine corridor? Now it is not secret anymore that Yunus's working relationship with the country's military also seems to have taken a hit. It is deteriorating. Sources say that the chief advisor and Bangladesh army chief General Wakir-ur-Zaman are at loggerheads upon the upcoming elections. Now, General Zaman has now demanded that Yunus government hold the elections by the end of December. Some say that the general fears that Yunus is trying to orchestrate his ouster, and amidst all of that comes the issue of the so-called humanitarian corridor corridor for the passage of the logistics and supply of provisions to the Rakhine state in Myanmar. Now, what is being said as far as the Yunus government is in support of this plan? The army chief, the military there of Bangladesh, seems to be opposing vehemently. Let's delve into it further. Exactly what is this Rakhine corridor all about? Now, this is the issue, the proposal for Rakhine corridor that seems to have backed as far as humanitarian corridor to provide Myanmar's Rakhine. And what is being said that there is a push. The pushback is Bangladesh's army chief General Zaman is now opposed to this very move, where he's been calling it as a bloody corridor. Now, there is also a warning now. The warning is that they will not allow any activity that harms their sovereignty. However, General Zaman is of the view that keep the army always in loop when it comes to such key projects. There is also a criticism now. Khalida Zia's BNP has now called it as unilateral and as an illegal move. However, there are experts which are of the opinion that the United States may play a big role when it comes to the influence of China here as well. Now, there has been a U-turn as well. Let's talk about that. Bangladesh's NSA says that the corridor plan has not been discussed. However, when it comes to Yunus's NSA saying that they told the UN that they would consider it. So a lot of many changes that have been happening in Bangladesh. Let's in the meantime put it in perspective exactly what now happens as Bangladesh's history is concerned. Let me go back last year in August 2024 when Sheikh Hasina was forced to leave the country under pressure. And now in May 2025, Yunus seems to be also facing a similar situation. So is Mohammed Yunus likely to face the same fate as Sheikh Hasina? For now, the situation in Bangladesh seems to be volatile, and the next few days will decide not just Yunus's future, but the future of the entire region. And in that case, India's move will also become extremely important. Let's get in a word from Salahuddin Shoaib Chaudhry, who is a Bangladesh journalist, the editor of Bangladeshi tabloid Blitz. He's joining us here on the broadcast. Thank you for taking out your time. Shoaib, what exactly, when we speak of the situation, reports indicating that Mohammed Yunus is now considering stepping down from his position because there is lack of cooperation from political parties and also a military threat. What does it mean?
Thank you very much. Actually, Mohammed Yunus is the biggest con artist of our time. He has been attempting to sell Bangladesh valuable assets. At the same time, he was on the process of handing over our Saint Martin Island and give US and UN a corridor to Myanmar. So he was involved in anti-state activities which would seriously jeopardize our national security and sovereignty. At the same time, Yunus brought an assassin from US to eliminate Army Chief General Waqar Zaman. When his vicious activities got caught or came to the knowledge of our armed forces, now, as sure, Yunus is trying to divert attention of the people with this so-called resignation claim, etc. But he is not going to resign. He will not resign. The most shameless person. He will be trying to stick to power as much as possible. And this is what is happening in Dhaka now.
So, Mr. Chaudhry, how significant is the rift between Mohammed Yunus and the military leadership? Because you were just saying that the army chief, General Zaman, has now put the final nail in the coffin of Yunus. The dream of remaining in power forever without holding elections under various pretexts. Is there a December ultimatum issued?
You see, as I say, that Yunus has been conspiring against the sovereignty of Bangladesh. And that is where Bangladesh armed forces needs to react and take some military actions, because Bangladesh armed forces has to protect the sovereignty of this country. And for that reason, as I have mentioned, that when General Waqar Zaman met Yunus on May 21st and notified him that, first of all, what he has been doing is already within the knowledge of Bangladesh armed forces, and asked him strongly to hold the election by 30th of December this year and hand over power to a new government on the 1st of January. This is what Yunus doesn't want. Yunus wants to remain in power eternally. So, of course, now I should say Yunus has become the biggest enemy of Bangladesh, and that's why Bangladesh armed forces are not with him. Bangladesh armed forces are not going to allow any illegal activities of Yunus or his cronies, and government is, the armed forces is also not going to allow the mobs, violence, etc. And please remember that Yunus is an illegal entity. It's called so-called interim regime. It's not any constitutional form of government, because in Bangladesh now there is a provision for caretaker government for elections. So Yunus is completely illegal, and Yunus has also, out of his advisors, 14 are foreign passport holders, including Yunus. And he brought a person to Bangladesh named Khalilur Rahman and made him a national security advisor, while this Khalilur Rahman is holding American citizenship. So a person, foreign national, becoming national security advisor of country, ridiculous. Yunus is a foreign mercenary, and the whole bunch of his advisors, most of them are foreign mercenaries, backed by Pakistani ISI, American deep state, and also the local jihadis and Islamist groups.
So, Mr. Chaudhary, do you believe that will it be next in Bangladesh a military coup, or will there be elections?
Into my understanding, that from sometime next week, because Fridays and Saturdays are our weekly holidays, from Sunday things will be unfolding, military actions will be there, and Yunus will have to face the consequences, because he has committed serious crimes against Bangladesh, against the sovereignty of this country, against Bangladesh armed forces and our army chief. I think, in my personal view, he would be arrested sometime next week, along with some of his top collaborators.
But, Mr. Chaudhary, do you believe that there is a resurgence of support for Sheikh Hasina amidst the current turmoil? Is there a possibility of a comeback?
You see, Awami League is one of the two largest parties in this country, with a 45 million vote bank. Sheikh Hasina remains very popular. It was Yunus who was trying to suffocate Sheikh Hasina, suffocate Awami League, suffocate all other political parties subsequently. So Sheikh Hasina has been popular in this country, and because when she had to leave the country, when there were some conspirators from the US deep state and others, they played some dirty role in this country during July and August, and they staged a jihadist coup on August 5th. Thanks to General Zaman of Bangladesh as an army chief for saving this country, because Yunus was actually originally conspiring to assassinate Sheikh Hasina along with her younger sister, Sheikh Rakhine, on August 5th. So Sheikh Hasina's life has been saved, but I can guarantee you Sheikh Hasina remains very popular. Our League is there, and I'm sure with the arrest of Yunus sometime next week, our League will return to the show, and Sheikh Hasina will also come back to Bangladesh.
Mr. Chaudhary, who do you believe are the key players, external forces that do you believe are escalating tensions between Muhammad Yunus and the Bangladesh army? Is there any truth to the speculations about any foreign interference?
As I said, that Khalilur Rahman, US passport holder, he is the very notorious person, US deep state, George Soros, and Pakistani ISI, indeed. Because Pakistani ISI wanted to take revenge on us, Bengalis, of their defeat in 1971. And they wanted to turn my country into Pakistan again. So these are the forces which are behind Yunus, and all of them are enemies of this country, enemies of this nation. And I can say it's you remember in 1971, we fought a liberation war for 9 months, and this time Yunus was installed to power in August last year. So exactly this is the 9th month, and I'm sure Bangladesh will be liberated from the evil clutches of Yunus, American deep state, Pakistani ISI and Islamist jihadist confederate.
All right. Mr. Chaudhary, thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now and sparing your time, of course, for a better understanding where Chief Advisor of Bangladesh's interim government, Mohammad Yunus, is now mulling stepping down, expressing anger and disappointment. But what is the state of affairs, especially with the country's military? The situation is rapidly developing. With that, we head into a short break.